Look, if you're still listening to the latte factor gurus in 2026, you aren't just behind, you're financially extinct. Kevin O'Leary and the old guard love to tell you that skipping your $5 coffee is the secret to a 7-figure retirement. That is a dangerous, mathematically illiterate lie. In an era of rampant currency debasement and a $34 trillion national debt, saving pennies is like trying to drain the ocean with a thimble. It feels like you're doing something, but the tide is coming in faster than you can move your hands. The millionaire status used to be the ultimate goal. Today, $1 million is a survival fund. It's a down payment on a modest home in a zip code that doesn't have a failing school system. If you think cutting out caffeine is going to bridge the gap between your stagnant salary and the skyrocketing cost of real assets, you are delusional. The math of the middle class has been solved, and the answer is zero. The strategy that worked for your parents worked 40 years. Buy a house and let a mutual fund do the heavy lifting is dead. We have entered the era of the Great Bifurcation. You are either an owner of high-scale assets or you are a victim of the inflation tax. There is no in-between. If you are still broke, it isn't because you bought a sandwich instead of making one at home. It's because your strategy is designed for a world that ceased to exist in 2008. Success in 2026 isn't about deprivation, it's about deployment. It's about understanding that your first $100 isn't for saving, it's for weaponizing. While the masses are busy budgeting their way into poverty, new elite are focused on asymmetric returns and digital leverage. If you have $100 and a laptop, you have more potential than a 1980s stockbroker with $1 million bankroll. I'm not here to give you tips. I'm here to dismantle the psychological cage that keeps you chasing crumbs while the entire bakery is being looted. I'm going to show you exactly why wealth math has changed, why you need to aim for billionaire levels of security just to maintain a standard of living, how you can flip that first $100 into a fortune by ignoring every piece of safe advice you've ever been given. The game is rigged, but only if you play by the old rules. It's time to stop saving and start hunting. The reason why advice from guys like Kevin O'Leary is borderline predatory in 2020. 6 is because it's built on a survivor bias that ignores the current laws of physics. When a multimillionaire tells you to stop spending, they are speaking from a position of absolute abundance. For them, cutting expenses is about optimizing a massive, pre-existing machine. But for you, following that advice is a fast track to a scarcity mindset, a mental prison, where you become so obsessed with losing. $5 that you lose the ability to see the $50,000 opportunity standing right in front of you. Being cheap is not an investment strategy. It is a slow motion surrender. Let's look at the save your $100 in a jar logic. If you take that $100 and tuck it away under your mattress or leave it in a standard savings account, you aren't saving it. You are watching it bleed out by December 2026, thanks to the compounding effect of real world inflation, not the watered down government numbers, but the actual cost of rent, energy, and high quality food. That $100 will have the purchasing power of $85. You didn't save money. You paid a 15% stupidity tax for sitting on the sidelines. The rich do not save in the way they tell you to. They multiply. While they tell the masses to be frugal, they are using massive debt to acquire appreciating assets. They understand that cash is trash. It's a melting ice cube. The goal isn't to have a big pile of paper. The goal is to have a high-velocity engine that converts capital into more capital. If you adopt the Mr. Wonderful mindset of penny pinching, you are training your brain to focus on contraction. You become a master of defense in a game where you have 0 points on the board. You cannot shrink your way to greatness. The mistake isn't spending the money. The mistake is failing to understand the difference between a liability and a tool. A $5 coffee that fuels a 4-hour deep work session where you build a digital asset is a high ROI investment. A $5 coffee that you buy just to feel something while you scroll TikTok is a leak. Celebrity advice fails because it treats all spending as equal. It tells you to starve your growth, to feed a savings account that the bank is going to use to lend back to people who actually know how to invest. If you want to survive the next 5 years, you have to kill the saver inside you and birth the allocator. You don't need a piggy bank, you need a war chest. The fundamental reason you are still poor has nothing to do with your lack of capital and everything to do with your broken definition of value. Most people are stuck in a cycle of depreciating consumption. You take $100 money you traded your life force and hours to obtain, and you immediately swap it for a pair of branded shoes or a designer hoodie. In that transaction, you didn't just spend money, you committed financial suicide. 2 years from now, those shoes are worth $10 at a thrift store. You have effectively participated in a 90% wealth destruction event. This is the Garib or poor mindset, looking at money as something to be traded for stuff that signals status to people who don't actually care about you. The Amir or rich mindset sees that same $100 and asks one question: how many soldiers can I buy with this? To the wealthy, every dollar is a soldier. Their job is to go out into the world, capture more territory, and bring back prisoners. When you buy an asset, whether it's a fractional share of a high-growth company, a piece of digital IP, or a skill-based certification, you are buying employees that work for you while you sleep. The biggest, most toxic mistake you are making right now is the waiting trap. You've convinced yourself that you'll start investing or building once you have enough money. You think you need $10,000 or $50,000 to enter the game. This is a psychological defense mechanism used to justify your current inaction. In the 1990s, you might have needed a broker and a massive minimum deposit. In 2026, $100 is a God-tier starting point because of the sheer amount of asymmetric leverage available to the average person. If you wait for $10,000, you are losing the one asset a billionaire can never buy back: time. The math of wealth is exponential, not linear. The person who starts with $100 and understands the velocity of money will eventually lap the person who waits 10 years to start with $100,000. Why? Because the $100 starter learns the most important skill in the world: resourcefulness. When you have a lot of money, it's easy to be stupid and still survive. When you only have $100, you are forced to be surgical. You learn how to identify undervalued assets, how to utilize free AI tools to scale your output, and how to spot market inefficiencies. Stop treating your $100 like a fun budget. Treat it like a seed. If you eat the seed, you have one meal. If you plant the seed, you eventually own the orchard. The system is designed to keep you eating your seeds, bombarding you with ads, telling you that you deserve a treat, and making safe savings accounts look attractive while inflation rots them from the inside. Breaking out of poverty isn't about how much you make, it's about how much of your $100 is working for you versus how much is working for the CEO of the brand on your feet. If you are waiting for enough money to start, you've already lost. The Billionaire Math starts at $100. It starts today. To reach the 2,000-word mark for this section, we aren't just giving a list, we are providing a tactical manifesto. In 2026, the global economy is a battlefield of AI-driven productivity and currency debasement. Your $100 isn't savings, it is your starting capital for a private equity firm where you are the CEO. The 2026 weaponized 100 blueprint, most people see $100 and think of a night out. You see $100 and see a three-pronged trident designed to impale the old economy. Here's exactly how you deploy it for maximum lethality. The concrete foundation, $40 in high-velocity index funds, VOO-VTI. We start with $40. Why? Because you need a safe base that captures the collective genius of the most powerful corporations on earth. In 2026, the S&P 500 VU and the total stock market, VTI, aren't just stocks. They are the beneficiaries of the AI revolution. The VOO argument. VO tracks the 500 largest U.S. companies. In 2026, these companies are leaner than ever. They've replaced middle management with AI agents and expanded their margins to record highs. By putting $40 here, you are owning a piece of Apple, Microsoft, and NVIDIA, the landlords of the digital age. The VTI alternative, if you want a piece of the next big thing before it hits the S&P 500. VTI gives you exposure to 3,500 plus companies. It's a bet on the entire American machine. The brutal reality, while the dollar loses value, these companies raise prices. They are the ultimate inflation hedge. This $40 is your insurance policy against the Garib trap. It ensures that as the world gets more expensive, you own the entities that are making it so. The aggressive alpha, $30 in the AI sovereignty tier. In 2026, the gap between tech and the rest is a canyon. We are putting $30 into fractional shares of the companies building the actual substrate of reality. The foundry play. You don't buy the next app, you buy the company that makes the chips. Fractional shares of TSMC, TSM, or NVIDIA and VDA are non-negotiable. They are the oil of the 21st century. The infrastructure play, Microsoft, Azure, and Amazon AWS are the new utility companies. Every AI model runs on their servers. By owning them, you are effectively taxing every person who uses a chatbot or an automated service. The pure play AI, look at companies like Palantir, PLTR. In 2026, data is the new gold and Palantir is the refinery. They are securing government contracts and massive enterprise deals that others can't touch. This $30 is your billionaire math play. You aren't looking for 8% returns here. You are looking for the 10 times moonshots that occur when a technology fundamentally rewrites how humanity functions. The ultimate lever, $30 in self-education, the highest ROI. This is where 99% of people fail. They think investment means giving my money to someone else. In 2026, the best ROI is not found on Wall Street, it is found between your ears. The strategy, use this $30 to buy a specialized tool or a high signal book that gives you a high income skill. The skill, prompt engineering, is no longer enough. In 2026, you need AI orchestration, knowing how to chain multiple AI agents together to automate a business process. The tool, buy a subscription to a premium AI research tool or a domain-specific data set. If you can use a $30 tool to save a client $3,000, you have just achieved a 10,000% ROI. The knowledge, buy the Almanac of Naval Ravikant or the Psychology of Money. These aren't books, they are mental software updates. They reprogram your brain to see leverage where others see work. The warning, if you have $100 and you don't know how to make another $100 with your skills, you don't have a money problem. You have a competence problem. This $30 is the most billionaire move you can make because it treats you as the most valuable asset in the portfolio. The 2026 execution order, stop saving, transfer the $100 into a brokerage account that allows fractional shares. Automate the base. Set the $40 in view to auto-invest every month. This is your boring, reliable wealth builder. Hunt the tech. Use the $30 to buy bits of the Magnificent Seven or the emerging AI leaders. Devour the knowledge, spend the $30 on the skill that makes you indispensable. The wealth math is simple. $70 builds your fortress and $30 sharpens your sword. In 2026, you cannot survive with just a fortress and you cannot win with just a sword. You need both if you want to survive the 2026 economic landscape. You have to stop acting like a victim and start acting like a filter. The system is designed to extract your $100 before you can ever weaponize it. Marketing agencies and predatory lenders spend billions every year to ensure that the moment you have a surplus, you find a way to set it on fire. If you want to move from Garib to Amir, you must place a permanent ban on these three wealth killers. 1. Fast fashion and hype apparel. In 2026, the fast fashion market is projected to hit over $180 billion. That isn't a sign of a thriving economy, it's a sign of a massive wealth transfer from the poor to the corporate elite. When you buy a $100 pair of hype sneakers or a branded hoodie, you are participating in a 90% wealth destruction event. The moment you walk out of that store, the resale value craters. By next year, those clothes are worth $10. You didn't buy an outfit, you bought a one-way ticket to poverty. Real wealth is silent. It doesn't need to wear a logo to feel validated. Every dollar spent on a brand is a dollar you didn't spend on an asset that pays you back. 2. The new car interest trap. This is the canary in the coal mine for the 2026 debt crisis. With the average monthly car payment surging to $750 and subprime delinquency hitting 15-year peaks, a new car on debt is the ultimate financial suicide. Most cars lose 30% of their value the second they leave the showroom. Combine that with interest rates that can reach 10% or higher for many buyers, and you are paying a premium to own an asset that is actively rotting. You are working 38 weeks out of the year just to afford a machine that takes you to a job you probably hate. If you can't buy it in cash, you can't afford it, period. 3. Get rich quick. Meme coins, the crypto landscape of 2026 is a graveyard of 2025's moonshots. Research shows a staggering 97% failure rate for meme coin projects, with most collapsing within 24 hours of launch. While a few whales use bot-driven price cascades to inflate their bags, the average retail investor is the exit liquidity. These coins have zero utility, no infrastructure, and are built on the greater fool theory. If your investment strategy relies on a tweet from a celebrity or an AI-generated dog picture, you aren't investing, you're gambling at a rigged table. The house always wins. And in the meme coin world, you are the meal, not the guest. Protect your $100. The world wants you to spend it on trash so it can keep you on the treadmill. Say no to the illusion of status and yes to the reality of sovereignty. 2026 is not going to be a normal year for the global economy. We are standing at the edge of a massive technological expansion and a simultaneous debt-driven contraction. It is going to be the year of the smart investor, the person who understands that the old rules are dead and that agility is the only true security. You cannot afford to listen to the billionaires who reached the top 40 years ago and have since forgotten what it feels like to have nothing. They are playing a game of wealth preservation. You are playing a game of wealth creation. Their advice to cut back on lattes is a relic of a world that didn't have 15% real-world inflation and AI-driven job displacement. You don't need to save your way to safety. You need to invest your way to sovereignty. This is your wake-up call. The billionaire math dictates that the gap between the owners and the renters is widening every single day. If you aren't on the side of the owners, you are being liquidated. But here is the good news. The tools for your liberation have never been cheaper. For the price of a mediocre dinner out, you can buy the foundation of a global portfolio and the education to scale it. I'm challenging you right now. Take that $100. Don't put it in a jar. Don't buy a pair of shoes. Deploy it. Use the blueprint we discussed. $40 into the index, $30 into the future of tech, and $30 into your own skill set. This is how the new elite are born, not through a massive inheritance, but through the relentless surgical application of small amounts of capital into high leverage assets. The window of opportunity in 2026 is wide open, but it won't stay that way forever. Fortune favors the bold, but more importantly, fortune favors those who actually start. Comment start below if you are weaponizing your first $100 this month. I want to see who is actually ready to play the game. And make sure you subscribe for our weekly 2026 wealth updates, where we track the data, the math, and the moves the 1% don't want you to see.